Many Australians who have been receiving the age pension for years believe that once you're approved, your payments are safe and guaranteed for life. But 2025 has quietly introduced a series of Centrelink rule changes that could affect not only how much you receive, but whether you still meet the eligibility criteria at all. These aren't the kind of headlines that make the evening news. Instead, the updates are buried deep in policy documents, hidden in small print, and scattered across government announcements. But make no mistake, the consequences for retirees could be significant, especially for those who rely on every dollar to cover rising food costs, skyrocketing energy bills, and record high rents. From the way assets are now assessed, to changes in income thresholds, to the tighter scrutiny on overseas travel and residency requirements, each adjustment could mean the difference between keeping your full pension, dropping to a part rate, or, in some cases, losing it altogether. Some seniors are even finding that a modest change in their superannuation balance or a small boost in investment returns is unexpectedly pushing them over the limit, reducing their payments without warning. Others are discovering that rules around deemed income have shifted, altering the way Centrelink calculates what you earn, even if your actual cash flow hasn't changed. There are also updates tied to living arrangements. If you move in with family, downsize your home, or even rent out a spare room, the rules now in place could trigger reassessment that impact your fortnightly payment. And for those who spend time overseas, visiting children, taking long holidays, or living part of the year abroad, the clock on how long you can remain eligible while outside Australia is ticking faster than it used to. If you think these changes don't affect you because nothing's changed in my life, think again. Centrelink is recalculating, rechecking, and re-evaluating millions of pension accounts under the new guidelines. Understanding the updated rules isn't just about protecting your income, it's about making sure you're not caught off guard in a year when every dollar truly matters. That's why in this discussion, we're going to walk through every important update in plain, everyday language, no confusing government jargon, no endless legal references, just the facts you actually need to know, backed by real examples so you can see how they might apply to your own situation. The truth is, Centrelink's age pension system has always been complex, with a mix of asset tests, income tests, residency rules, and special conditions for certain life events. But 2025 has brought a new layer of changes that can feel like the goalposts have been moved without much warning. For many seniors, especially those who have planned their retirement budgets down to the last cent, a small shift in these rules can feel like a rug being pulled from under their feet. One of the biggest areas that's catching people out right now is the adjustment to the asset test thresholds. While on the surface, it might seem like these thresholds increase slightly each year to keep up with inflation, the reality is that the recent changes are more complicated. Some thresholds have been tweaked in ways that create unexpected cutoffs for people with certain asset types. For example, seniors who own their own home and have a small amount of savings might still be well under the limit. But if you've recently sold a property, received an inheritance, or even taken a lump sum from your superannuation to cover medical costs or renovations, those amounts could temporarily inflate your asset total. Centrelink's rules now take a closer look at when that money was received, how it's being used, and whether it's classed as exempt. Even temporary increases in your account balance can trigger a reassessment that reduces your fortnightly pension. The income test has also seen a subtle but important shift. Deeming rates, which are used to estimate the income you earn from financial assets like bank accounts, term deposits, and shares, have been updated to reflect current economic conditions. While this might sound fair on paper, the problem is that deemed income isn't always the same as actual income. Even if your bank account isn't earning much interest, Centrelink might still deem that it is earning at a higher rate. This means some pensioners are being assessed as though they have more income than they actually do, which can reduce their payment rate. And if you're one of the many retirees with a mix of superannuation, investments, and part-time work income, the new calculations could affect you even more. Another change that's sparking concern is the tightening of rules around overseas travel. In the past, some seniors were able to spend long stretches of time outside Australia, visiting family overseas, enjoying extended holidays, or even living part of the year abroad, without affecting their pension payments too much. But the updated rules are now more restrictive. For many, the amount of time you can remain eligible for the full age pension while overseas has been reduced. Once you exceed that limit, your payments could drop to a lower outside Australia rate, and in some cases, you might lose certain supplements entirely. This is particularly challenging for seniors with children or grandchildren overseas who are used to spending months at a time with them. Residency requirements are also under the microscope. Centrelink has always required that age pension recipients meet certain residency criteria, including having lived in Australia for at least 10 years, with at least 5 of those years being continuous. But recent changes mean there's more active checking of your actual presence in the country. In other words, even if you technically meet the residency requirement from your past history, prolonged absences now could still impact your payments. For seniors with split living arrangements, maybe spending part of the year in Australia and part elsewhere, this is something that needs careful planning. Housing-related changes are another area where seniors need to be alert. If you own your home, the value of your property isn't counted as part of the asset test. But if you decide to sell and downsize, the proceeds from that sale can temporarily be counted, even if you plan to use them to buy another property. The updated rules around how long these proceeds are exempt and how they're treated in the meantime have tripped up many retirees. In some cases, people have sold their home expecting to use the proceeds to make life easier, only to find that their pension dropped for months while the sale proceeds sat in their account awaiting the purchase of a new home. Living arrangements can also play a big role in your pension eligibility under the new rules. For instance, if you move in with adult children, take in a lodger, or even share a home with a friend to save on costs, Centrelink may assess this differently than before. The way they classify your household situation can influence your pension rate, especially if it changes whether you're considered a single or part of a couple for pension purposes. And remember, the definition of couple isn't just about marriage. It can extend to de facto relationships or situations where Centrelink believes there's a level of financial interdependence. For seniors with superannuation still in accumulation phase, particularly those who retired later or who have kept their super invested for growth, the updated treatment of super balances is important. Once you reach pension age, your superannuation is counted as an asset even if you haven't started drawing from it. Changes in how super is valued and when it's included in the asset test could shift your eligibility, particularly if your balance has grown due to market performance. It's another example of how external factors, like investment returns you don't directly control, can unexpectedly affect your Centrelink payment. Another subtle but impactful change relates to gifting rules. Many retirees like to help their children or grandchildren financially, whether that's through cash gifts, paying for education, or helping with a house deposit. But Centrelink has strict limits on how much you can gift before it affects your pension. Currently, $10,000 per financial year or $30,000 over 5 years, whichever is less. Amounts above this are treated as though you still own them for the purposes of the asset test. The updated rules have made it clear that even transfers to family members that you might not consider gifts, such as paying for their bills or buying them assets, can be counted. This means well-meaning generosity could have an unintended impact on your own financial security. Let's also talk about the pensioner work bonus, which allows seniors to earn some extra income without it counting towards the income test. The bonus amount and the way it accrues have both seen updates recently. While some changes are positive, giving seniors more flexibility to take on seasonal or casual work, others require more careful monitoring of how much you're earning and when. If you miscalculate and go over the limit, you might find your pension reduced for the next payment cycle. Of course, all of this is happening against the backdrop of a rising cost of living in Australia. Food prices have gone up, energy bills are higher, and many retirees are facing rental increases if they don't own their home. This makes every dollar of the age pension more critical than ever. That's why understanding these updates is so important, not to scare you, but to equip you with the knowledge to protect your entitlements and plan ahead. Sometimes, small adjustments in how you manage your assets, income, or living arrangements can make a big difference to your eligibility. For example, if you're approaching the asset test limit, you might consider how certain exempt assets, like prepaid funerals or certain types of home improvements, could be used to keep your assessable assets below the threshold while still improving your quality of life. Similarly, understanding the timing of income and asset changes can help you avoid unintended pension reductions. If you know you'll be receiving a lump sum, planning when and how it's received could help keep your payment steady. Another important aspect to consider is the role of Centrelink reviews. Under the updated rules, reviews are becoming more frequent and more detailed. This means that any change in your circumstances, even if you think it's minor, needs to be reported promptly. Failure to do so could result in overpayments that you'll later have to repay, which can create unnecessary stress. It also means that being proactive, contacting Centrelink to clarify how a change might affect you before it happens, can be a smart move. For those feeling overwhelmed by the complexity of these rules, remember that you don't have to navigate it alone. Financial counselors, community legal centers, and even Centrelink's own financial information service can provide guidance. Taking the time to get advice before making big financial or lifestyle decisions can save you from unexpected pension cuts down the track. The system might be complicated, but it is navigable with the right information and support. Another trend worth noting is that more seniors are combining their age pension with other sources of income, like part-time work, investments, or superannuation drawdowns. The updated rules mean that managing this combination requires more attention than ever. For instance, the way income from investments is calculated might differ from how your superannuation withdrawals are treated, and both interact with the income test in different ways. This is why keeping accurate records and understanding how each source of income is assessed is so valuable. Some retirees are also looking at strategies to legally maximize their entitlements under the new rules. This might involve restructuring assets, reconsidering investment strategies, or timing withdrawals and contributions in a way that's more favorable under Centrelink's assessment. While these strategies can be effective, they require careful planning and a solid understanding of the rules to ensure compliance. It's also worth mentioning that certain supplements and concessions linked to the age pension can be affected by these changes. Things like the pension supplement, energy supplement, and state-based concessions on utilities, transport, and council rates often depend on your pension status. If your age pension is reduced or cancelled due to the new rules, you could also lose access to these additional benefits, further impacting your overall budget. All of this reinforces the importance of staying informed. The age pension is a vital safety net for millions of Australians, but it's not a static system. The rules evolve in response to economic conditions, government policy shifts, and budget priorities. By keeping up to date and taking a proactive approach, you can avoid being blindsided by changes and ensure that you're making the most of the support available to you. In the coming years, it's likely we'll see further adjustments to the age pension system, especially as the government grapples with the financial pressures of an aging population. That's why developing a habit now of regularly reviewing your situation, seeking advice, and understanding the rules is one of the best financial decisions you can make in retirement. It's about more than just reacting to changes. It's about positioning yourself to adapt smoothly whenever the goalposts move. And while these updates might seem daunting at first, remember that knowledge truly is power here. The more you understand about how the system works and how the changes apply to you, the more control you have over your retirement finances. Whether it's adjusting your travel plans, rethinking how you manage your savings, or simply keeping better track of your income, every small action can help you maintain your eligibility and your peace of mind.